Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are, of course, your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. We're back, fresh-faced and returning as Tottenham put 4 past Copenhagen in an incredible game where, quite frankly, a sending off goes in the opposite direction as Micky van der Ven absolutely steals the show for Tottenham Hotspur and for Thomas Frank Spurs, as Thomas Frank does enjoy his best night so far in the job as Spurs smash 4 past Copenhagen. Micky van der Ven produces a FIFA Puskas Award contender, and it was quite simply a crazy game with a sensational finish, and Brennan Johnson, again, ole, started things off before Wilson Odobert, Paulina netted in a big win for Thomas Frank's Tottenham ahead of course, a big week. I'm joined by the greatest actors in the land. TJ Ramini, Darren, Hart are back on your screens, and Luke returns from Spotlight on Spurs to talk and guide you through a great win. And if I don't mind TJ, I still his little headline then, his little caption. It was fantastic. It was. Let's talk you through the match facts and the stats where we bring in these wonderful gentlemen. Tottenham. That's quite nice. Seeing 4 goals against our name. 4 goals to 0. The biggest win of the Thomas Frank era to date. Tottenham, 14 shots to Copenhagen's 12. Tottenham, 6 shots on target to Copenhagen's 4. Isn't this a change? Big chances created. Tottenham, they created 9 of them on the night to Copenhagen's 0. Tottenham, 11 shots inside the box to Copenhagen's 6. We had more touches in the Oppo box, 35-23. Recovery-wise, Spurs recovered the ball more, 42-39. Not often we're beaten on the corner count. We was on this one, 3-6. We dominated possession, 61% to 39%. And finally, I'm reading out a positive XG stat. Finally, 3.58 to 0.32. We want to bring in these wonderful gentlemen. Before we do, if you can like and subscribe to the show. For those that want to interact, you can. If you hit that subscribe button, it allows you to interact with the chat live and get involved in the debate. Of course, we're joined by Talking Tottenham's very own Darren. Hart's in the house. Luke, of course, over at Spotlight on Spurs. He's back this week. And TJ Ramini's back every day of the week if you want a quiz in your life. How can you not want a quiz? Right. Let's go with the boys and let's talk through Spurs back finally on a winning momentum, we hope, ahead of what's going to be a massive week for the football club. Dal, let's open with you. Look, we know Micky will quite frankly, rightly probably steal the show, but that is what we all wanted, wasn't it? Free floating football. Spurs' biggest win so far under Frank. It does feel that the vibes have been reset. I'm sure you'll bring them, but it was the best attacking performance so far. Best home performance. Xavi Simons showing us a glimpse of what he's capable of, and that's the exciting thing. And also, this does show Spurs can create from open play when you consider no Decky, no Maddison, no Solanke, and of course, no Kudus or Bergvall in this one. But we did, at times, play some wonderful football. Dal, take it away. What did you make of it?
It was exactly what we all needed. It's like your best friend's gone for a breakup. That's what happened at Chelsea. And you took him to the pub and it's full of single ladies. That's what we got today. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. A confidence boost for everybody, front to back. Everyone looked like they grew in confidence with themselves and each other. And everyone just went, hello, Tottenham. This is what we can do if we play together. This is what we can do if we trust each other. And watching the confidence grow, knowing what's to come over the next few games. Hallelujah, hallelujah. God bless Tottenham. What the night we needed. I can take off Absolutely. The cape. No therapy needed. I can just enjoy the badge. Hey,
yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah. It was one of those nights where I think some of them on X said to us, they were ready for Tej and Dow to, wing out the therapy and Luke be thrown back in like Archie Gray on this show. Let's bring in our next fellow therapist. Tej, lovely to be back alongside us here. Look, Spurs needed that. We needed that. I mean, incredible solo goal for Micky van der Ven. And similar, but perhaps, to Son's back in December of 2019 at the stadium. Maybe another Puskas Award is on the horizon, but a good night for Xavi Simons, a good night for Destiny Udogie. We'll come on some really sad news that we found out about Destiny during this show. But look, a number of players missing. I think the players minus Richarlison embraced at full time. It was a really important result, and fingers crossed, hopefully a start of some good momentum at home, because we need that win, didn't we, Teach?
Absolutely. Such a positive performance all around in every sense of that word. Darren nailed it, right? It's exactly what we all needed. And I know that he was including the players and the coaching staff in that, not just the fans at home and in the stadium. It was almost the perfect setup for us tonight. I was on the show after that turgid display against Chelsea on Saturday and was left with a sense of hollowness and despair, having been just quite so banal and just tedious. And today was the opposite of that. We all know, I'm always in such good company on this program, not just my fellow panelists and of course you, Ricky, but the viewers and listeners to this show. I think that yes, absolutely. I'll get to that, Mario, I promise you. I think that the viewers and the listeners, pretty learned bunch. And we all know how important confidence is. Again, these are young men, right? And so their personalities are quite so fragile. And again, it's very important, I think, for us to remind ourselves that these are young kids, and so the difference between them perhaps coming out on an 8 or a 9, or potentially even pushing for a 10, can very easily slide to a 7 or a 6. And again, at the upper echelons of sport, the Premier League takes no prisoners. And so I was so happy for Xavi Simons tonight. I mean, listen, there are going to be plaudits that we're going to be handing out justifiably all night, but very, very happy for him. Yes, Copenhagen are not the greatest side we have played this season, but of course you can only play the 11 men in front of you. And also, winning is a habit. These boys are used to coming out and winning every single week. So a sense of belief in that squad and in that changing room will be very high. And also, everybody knows the Tottenham Stadium. People should, licking their lips turning up at the Tottenham Stadium. And so tonight I was delighted for the players, mainly for the fans. And I have to say, especially the fans who were there. And when you go to the home stadium and you get, this just awful lack of effort and quality. So happy to be on the show, man. Really happy for Xavi, really happy for the fans, really happy for us panelists. Let's really enjoy ourselves this evening or this afternoon, wherever you are in the world that you're listening. And we're going to take you on a jolly journey this afternoon for me, this evening for you. Lovely to be back on the show. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you so much. Luke, I think you've been over this one, haven't you? Since the last couple of appearances on here, probably. And all the transfer shows we put you through in the summer. Look, I mean, that was more like it, wasn't it? It was a really, really good performance. Micky van der Ven, as we keep on saying, one of the goals of the season. But again, I will say that, Doggy, Romero, they do take us up levels. I think, when you have those players in the team, they really make a difference. I want to go as far to say, probably Bentancur's best game for us in a long, long time. Played ever so well, Rodrigo Bentancur. Also, Odobert played quite well. Simons, again, we're seeing the potential of what he's capable of. But it was a brilliant, and I would say, Luke, if you agree, perfect response to such a despondent weekend performance, right? Which, to be fair, everyone's analysed it. Everyone's gone through it. And it's just nice to respond in a positive way. Look, right, Luke?
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with the guys. It's exactly what the Dr. Tottenham needed. That's exactly what we needed. We need to make sure that there was certain players that needed a confidence boost to have a good game, and they had it. Richarlison's probably the only one that come out of it not in that positive mindset, but everyone else was superb. Even Moani, I know he didn't get his goal, but I think his all-round play, that touch to bring down for the second goal, was absolutely superb. And that's exactly what we needed. It come at the perfect time and possibly come in the perfect because of the fixtures we've got coming up. There's some big games coming up, and we needed some confidence, and hopefully that come. And one big thing about Spurs is there being a reaction. There's going to be bad games. We're going to have bad performances, but we need players to react. It can't go bad performance becomes another one. So I think it was the players owed some of the fans for sure with the performances that we see. But I think it was a well-deserved win. And as I said, confidence is absolutely key, and hopefully a few players really, really needed it, and I'm hoping that becomes the sort of level that they'll get to. And TJ's right in terms of what people will say, oh, it's only them, it's not this, it's not that, they're not at the level, but it doesn't matter sometimes to get that confidence. It's like what they say about a striker. They can nick a goal, it can come off a knee, it can bounce off a shin. You get on that run and all of a sudden you just feel like you can score week in, week out. Xavi's going to walk off. And to be fair, Xavi could have walked off with 2, 3, 4 assists today. Moani missed a couple of chances and everything else. He's going to walk away going, I'll create on the weekend. I'll create next week. Because of one game against a weaker side. So perfect, exactly what we needed. Players coming off the bench making impacts, and even the red card. I mean, the red card come along, and you're thinking this could be tough. This could be a tough game, and then we go and we see what a superb individual Micky van der Ven is. What an unbelievable goal that was. I'm sure we'll get into it, but yeah, perfect response from Chelsea. Exactly what was needed, and hopefully now that can be the level that we sort of perform to.
Yeah, it's so bizarre, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen a red card decision flip a game in the most complete opposite way you were thinking. You know, everyone I think was panicking, the red card. Suddenly Polina's coming on. You're thinking, oh, in a second, this could become a really difficult second half. And suddenly it seemed to spark us into life. I don't think, again, very, very bizarre how, like I say, that turned around. But listen, all well and good. It's crazy, isn't it, Dal? Just to come over to you on Micky for a second. Tottenham's top scorer this season in the Premier League, Micky van der Ven, 3 goals. In the Champions League, it's Micky van der Ven with 2 goals. I mean, what a player this is. And I saw Cracker say this actually before we came on air. He said that if this new Spurs board are people of their word, then tomorrow morning they're going in to the office, they're bringing Micky in there, and they're offering him a new vast and improved contract, right? Because I think, again, to prove it on the world stage, that was an absolutely world-class goal. And we are going to come on to it, but unbelievable, Dal, wasn't it? Unbelievable goal from an unbelievable player.
100%. And I'm going to let TJ have full right to go wax lyrical when we get there. And you know what I'm enjoying about Micky right now is the fact that we're playing a system that allows him to use that explosive pace attacking, not always chasing back, not always running the other way. He can turn that pace on and break through the lines. And that was gorgeous to see. And seeing the joy on his face, how much he was enjoying playing today. And I think that's having his sparring partner, Romero, back with him. They look like they're just having a ball. When he did a few passes where he lost the ball early doors and Romero just clattered through whoever got it. And just watching them two, it's just like, it's a dream when they're clicking. And that's what happened today for them. It all clicked. Udogie being back at left back. It just, the system started to look like it's meant to look. And today was a real day to go, it can happen. We started aggressive, front foot football. That's what the fans want. That's what the players need to do. And when you do it, you get the results like today. So there's so many positives. There's still negatives if you want to like split hairs, of course. But there's so many positives to take from today as fans, as players, as the board. And as Cracker said, if they're not looking at Micky going, Real Madrid are going to be after a centre-half this season. We all know this. Yeah. Let them go to our neighbours and nick one of them. Leave Micky alone. He's staying right here. He's staying right here.
Yeah, he was absolutely superb. We're going to come on to him definitely in more detail. And I think he's only right as well because I've seen the media have a frenzy recently, Tej, on Xavi Simons. I mean, we laughed and joked on the last show that you've had his shirt and it's not come out the bag yet. I mean, look, it's fair to say that from what we saw tonight as a glimpse, he's wearing it, ladies and gentlemen. He's wearing it potentially. Tej, look, not perfect, but lots of good moments, wasn't there, for Xavi? I mean, nearly all of them really were instinctive. It was just really playing without thinking at times, which suggests that there is confidence there with the kid. And, you know, again, Van der Ven will steal the show, but let's not get away from it. That was a really, really good display from Xavi Simons, right, Tej? And just a glimpse of what this kid is capable of. Because I think on the night, just so everyone's aware, no player created more big chances in a Champions League game than Xavi against Copenhagen, and that was 3. And I think the only thing you'd say as well is probably it was a shame he had to be sacrificed because he was a creative machine for Spurs in that opening hour. 4 chances created, 3 big ones. And I think many will say that is what happens when you play this boy through the middle, Tej.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, to put any sort of surprises to bed, yes, this is the Xavi shirt. I'm just going to turn around quickly. There it is to be revealed. So yeah, delighted to get it out of the plastic bag and to wear it and you know, deserves it. Like deserves all of our praise this evening. And listen, still lots of room for improvement for him. You know, his touches aren't still quite there, like overweighted a couple of passes and stuff. But most importantly, I remember a few weeks ago I was on, and Marlon and I were chatting, and one of the things that bothers me about Xavi is he doesn't seem to be actively looking for the ball. Again, football is a game where you can hide. You can hide in football. I think because of the very nature that it's a constant sport. There are no times. So you don't try something and then go, well, that didn't work. Should we try something else? There's a constant fluidity to it, and so that the ebbs and flows of a game, you can kind of mask yourself. And tonight he took responsibility. I think as well, what the boys were saying about how we started and the positive start with a great deal of impetus and energy really helps us, because I do think that we have a reputation for being very soft, especially at home. And unfortunately, it's an unwanted accolade that is sadly deserving. And so if I were an opposing team going to Tottenham, my pre-game speech, and I've spoken about those a lot recently, would absolutely be, we can turn these boys over tonight. How you can very quickly burst that bubble and reverse that psychology is to have the home team come flying out the gates. My goodness, we've been calling for it, haven't we?
Agree.
I remember you and I were talking about the famous, is it already famous? I suppose it is, the Thomas Frank quote that, no risk is a risk.
Exactly.
We're all waiting for the shackles to be removed and for the handbrake to be taken off, every other analogy you could possibly want. And nothing will serve your purpose greater than action. And so you can come with these great ideas and ideals. Another famous quote from Mike Tyson is that you can have the best ideas and plans in the world until you get punched in the face. And we have to punch teams in the face. We have to do that. I've spoken so many times about, if you want to beat us, you have to snap us in half. And again, that comes with a mentality and attitude and cohesion and unity, that real sort of strength in numbers attitude. And I saw that tonight, and I was so delighted for the boy. Bless his heart, a young kid in a new country, in a new culture, in a very different league. And I thought he was exceptional tonight. He still has levels to go, but it's really nice that we can see a player, let's be honest, maybe a sort of a 7 out of 10 for him tonight. And yet he was quite so influential. So when we can get him to like an 8 or a 9, potentially pushing a 10, I'm excited about this kid. I wonder how the other panelists feel about him. Like, what's his ceiling? I genuinely don't know, or what the viewers and the listeners think. How good do we think this kid can be? So fair play to him, man. Very happy.
Yeah, let's come on to you on that, Luke. I mean, he did pick up the match award, player of the match award, whatever you want to call it. And he was really disappointed to come off, right? Because I think he probably just felt he was getting into his rhythm now. But look, we've got Man United to come on the weekend. Another big game, a game that you probably would imagine, again, Xavi will hopefully start back on, obviously, the decent momentum from this one. Is that exactly what Luke he needed going into, again, a massive game at the weekend? Expectation, Man United at home. We know still Tottenham Man United is very much still a glamour fixture, right? It's always a game that many people got eyes on.
Yeah, 100%. He's a creative player. He needs to create chances. I was so happy that he got that first assist in the first game, because it kind of just puts to bed the overzealous fans who kind of just want to be on players' backs consistently. But over the last couple of weeks, he has looked like he struggled, as Tej mentioned. He looks like he's kind of played within himself a little bit. And this is the type of player for me that seems to be at his best when he's got players making movement off of him. It's quick 1-2s. It's like confident football. I think the way he plays football, he needs to have players around him that want the ball, that he can bounce off. It's like 1-2s and round the corners and little flicks here and there. And when you're suffering from a lack of confidence, and then also you've got other players around you who are also doing that because of the performances as late, it can really impact his game. But as the guys have mentioned, he wasn't outstanding. It wasn't like he was unplayable. There were certain things that he could do to still improve, and yet he was still playing to a very good level and impacting a Champions League game. So I think it's a real positive. And the thing for me is that I think that the better quality players you surround yourself with Xavi, I think the better you get of Xavi as well. I think Xavi is a player that if he's around, I know I'm not saying Odobert is an absolute star, but I think Odobert is a very clever footballer, and the movements that he makes, the 1-2s, the little jinks inside, it's almost like Xavi's picked up quite a bit of a relationship, I think, with him. So I think there's a hell of a lot of positives. One thing I forgot to mention as well about Van der Ven was what a response from the criticism he received when he apparently ignored Frank as well. That's the sort of character that you need to have in a top dressing room, is that sort of, he had a bit of some fans on his back a little bit, everything else, and then all of a sudden he comes and delivers a performance like that. That's exactly what you need. That's what top players do. Going through a bit of a struggle, possibly asking a few questions. Is he backing the manager? Does he have that sort of respect? And all of a sudden, he man of the match or goal of the season, however you want to dress it up, he was absolutely immense. So that's exactly what you need from top players, and your top players as well. You need them to deliver. And hopefully, as I said, that's the barometer for both of them now to kind of go on and play at that level, because we know they can do it. We've seen Xavi Simons has impacted games in the Champions League for a number of. He's been a wonder kid for 10 years. He's kind of had that pressure. So it's not the pressure that's a problem. It's just the expectation, players understanding him. And I think that's been part of the problem. As I said, I think he's brain wise and technique wise, he's on a different level to the other guys, and they almost need to catch up and understand what he's going to do. So when we start surrounding him with your Madisons and your Kulusevski, I think that's going to bring another level to Xavi, which I think is brilliant. And then obviously we've done all of
those two, Luke. If we get them back, where does Xavi play? Speaking of Kula with Madison,
I think Xavi Simons again, and this is why when Frank come in, I think that there's going to be loads of players that play in positions where you don't necessarily think they're going to play. So Xavi Simons, for instance, you could have Palhinha playing with a Xavi Simons and a Madison against certain teams, right? I've been saying this for a long time, specifically when we got into the Champions League. We could have some games where we play Real Madrid away and then follow it up with Burnley at home this year. We're going to be playing completely different midfields there, right? And I think that's part of what fans have been a little bit unhappy with, is the fact that we consistently play Palhinha and Bentancur in games that maybe we don't need to. So there's nothing stopping. If we've got a team that are fit, confident, been playing well, there's no reason why Palhinha can't be a linchpin with Madison. And I think we played it a couple of times last year with Madison and Kulusevski in the central midfield with a slightly more defensive player. So I could see players coming potentially off the left. You could see a Xavi Simons with Udogie overlapping. But again, it comes down to a bit of confidence, a bit of people having belief in who's playing next year and playing well. So I also, part of it is how many games you're going to play. There's this whole starting 11 and this 11. We need to kind of get out of that. There's going to be certain games this year where Spence might be the left back that you need, but there'll be other games where you go, actually, Udogie is, because of the makeup of the players and the profiles of them. There's going to be so many different variations to it. And also Frank likes to look at where the weaknesses are in opposition, right? So he might look at it and say, actually, they're really weak in this position. If we was to get, I don't know, it might be Kudus, for instance. If we can get him and Porro overlapping and really overload a left back who is weak, brilliant. Whereas other games, Porro might sit further back. And this is what we was hoping we would see, which is going to take time. But I think it's all about relationships. And I think Xavi Simons, the better players you get around him, I think the better level you get from him.
Yeah, I think I hope so. I think also one of the key things that we did see in this game, Darren, I come over to you before we do hear from Thomas Frank, was we've been screaming out to see patterns of play, because in the last few home games, we've been sitting there, and you said it when you, I think, last here, we're all kind of asking, where is the plan at home? How are we attacking? What's our identity? How are we looking? It just felt tonight we clicked. And I know many might, again, back to Luke's point, suggest, well, look at the opposition we're playing. But at the same time, you've got to go out there. You've got to put on a performance. Does it feel, Dow, at least we saw some relationships forming that maybe wasn't at home in the last few weeks? And I know you said it a lot. Confidence is such a massive thing, no matter what you do in your industry, for you and Tej in acting or whatever you're going to be doing, depending on whatever industry you're in. Confidence is a massive thing. And the boys will take a lot from that, won't they, tonight, in terms of putting 4 past the team?
Yeah, 100% that confidence. But, you know, when I spoke about clicking, that it's not clicked yet. And if you look at it as a performance perspective, you rehearse together and you build your bonds. And as Luke was stressing there, Simons is a player who is very football intelligent, and he's trying to work out everyone else's movement. And when you're playing with players that don't respond the way you think they're going to respond, you do a no-look pass and they're not there. You then doubt yourself a little bit, like, oh, I can't do that. I shouldn't do that. Let me try and play my way into doing it a different way. But what we saw today was things that have been clearly worked on the training ground, the relationship that have been bonding and been cementing and working together. And you look at someone like Colin Mwane up front today, was a completely different option, a completely different player, a player who Simmons was going, I know you, I get you, we're reading the same song sheet. The cross, like he should have had 2 early doors. The cross for the header was beautiful. The one-touch football that they did, that then he got the ball and he put it wide. It's like, it's those patterns of play that we as fans look at and get excited about, because we go, that's clicking now. That's a team that is understanding each other's movement. And Odobert was a prime example of that. A player who, you know where he's always going to be. He's going to have his heels on the line. He's going to be that player going, give it to me. I want to take on my defender. I want to beat him. I want to get him one-on-one, and I want to take him on. Simmons knows that. So he knows I don't have to look for him. I know he's going to be there. And that's what we're starting to see, is that communication, that understanding, that fluidity. Because at the back, we have that. We have a unit that is solid, that they understand each other. They understand where each other's going to be. They cover for each other. What we're getting now up front is suddenly that kind of cohesion. And as you quite rightly said there, Luke, when you start bringing in the mindsets of players that are not in our squad right now, we suddenly have so many options. And that's what's going to be done. I want to highlight one thing before we go into today. Jamie Carragher, be quiet. Be quiet. Jamie Carragher, shut your mouth. What he said about Paulinho, I can't understand people who get paid that kind of money and talk that kind of rubbish for a headline. He has been absolutely dynamite for us. And the fact that you can comment about this gentleman here and say, one, he's not Premiership ready. He's not good enough. That's why no one wanted him. He can't break through lines. This man has scored goals for us in games where we needed him. He's a 6. He's not an 8. He's not a 10. He's a solid 6. He breaks play and he gives it to someone else. What we saw today in Bentancur is a player who is a 6 and an 8, who goes, I like to get the ball
leads the league in tackles as well, D.
I was going to go there too, my man. I've got punching for Jamie. I've got I've got hooks. I've got jabs. I've got it all.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you sit there or stand there in that big Sky Sports arena with all the flashy stuff and not see alarm bells go off when you say ridiculous statements about a player who has come into this team and done exactly what we needed him to do? Be a destroyer of play, been a leader on the pitch, drive us forward. And the only issue we've had as Spurs fans is, do we need both of them? That's the only issue we've had.
In certain games, you're right. In certain games, you're right.
Yeah, we don't always need both. Like today was a prime example. And he comes on, and what did he do today, Jamie? He scored. So Jamie Carragher, I beg you, I'll give you 48 hours. I want an apology. 48 hours, I want an apology. A big apology. I want an apology. That's all I'm saying. I want an apology.
Yeah, come on, Jamie. We know you're watching. I do agree, though. You know, again, it does crazy. You know, it is crazy at times how someone there wouldn't have given Jamie a bit of a heads up to say, well, look, he's not that position you're asking or suggesting to play in. Again, I think Tottenham, it's an easy thing to say when you are a Spurs fan, I guess. And I suppose, you know, there's a certain buoyancy to us being supporters. But I do feel like we're a very easy target when it comes to the media. If Spurs lose a couple of games, it feels like we are always heavily jumped upon. But maybe that's
headlines, Rick.
Yeah, we do sell a lot of, you know, papers or media headlines or clip. I mean, that is the way Tottenham are, right? Everyone loves a Tottenham crisis. So because we've been quiet for the last few weeks, apart from this last week or so, to be honest with you, this is, I think, what you're going to get when there is going to be a little bit of a struggle. People do seem to really jump on it. But, you know, I think that's why that win was so important, to just maybe calm down some of the noise that there has been in the last few weeks. And you can maybe argue that we also add to that because we are commenting and we are reflecting on every soundbite, everything that happens. We are there. And we don't regret being there, right? Because we get so much love and support for the show. But look, this is what we're here to do, to critique it in a way. And listen, we're grateful to have so much support. Let's hear from the man that is at the head of having to deal with critique, dealing with objections, dealing with our feedback. That man is Thomas Frank. We're going to go for our first break. Let's hear from Thomas Frank. It's around 6-7 minutes, guys. We'll bring Frank in and we'll be back after this very, very short break. Let's hear from Thomas.
By a defender in your time as a manager?
Sure, and I definitely need to think a little bit about that, but it seems like we had Lionel Messi turned into Micky van der Ven, running down from his own goal and all the way to the other end and scored a fantastic goal. I think he's our top scorer in all competitions, so he can keep going. he can keep, by the way, walking past me if he's angry after a game, if he deliver like this.
Thomas, just want to ask you about the red card as well, the only kind of down point of the night.
I think I understand why it can be given, but I think it's a little bit what I've talked before, that still footage on, studs on leg is what the ref see as the first thing. That's where it looks bad. There was no recklessness in this tackle from Brennan. He goes down in a sliding tackle. You say, why give the opportunities? But when he goes down, there's literally no leg in front of him. So when he slides, then this player step down, and then it looks bad after that. So I think it was a little bit unfortunate, and I think it was harsh. Yeah.
You've kind of been waiting, I think, to see these attacking players gel. Did you feel you finally saw that tonight?
Yeah, I think it was a step forward. I like what I saw from Brennan. Is classic Brennan. You're running in behind, and I really liked the assist from Xavi. Very good assist from Xavi. So happy that it was a goal from Brennan's assist from Xavi. I like bits from Wilson, and also, of course, he scored. I think Kolo looked like a handful in many situations. He could easily have scored 1 or 2 goals maybe in the end. But I think all of them have much more to come, but it was definitely a step forward.
Hi, Thomas. Can I ask what you said to Xavi after he came off? Because obviously, understandably, he looked obviously disappointed after coming off.
I don't know. I didn't say too much, I think. Of course, everyone wants to play, and he how can you say, see the opportunity to maybe play a little bit more. It's just at that point with 2-0, you never not really know. So I thought, okay, we do a little bit more defensive sub in Xiao. So that's why we did it.
And just on Brennan Johnson, top scorer last season, I think that's now 4 goals this season. What does he, I guess, need to do more to nail down a starting place in the side more regularly?
Yeah, I think he started now 3 in the last 4. So I think that's definitely steps in the right direction. Played a good game against Everton. Okay against the Newcastle, and then just a little rotation for Chelsea, and now started again. So I think he's in a good place.
Hi Thomas. I don't know if you saw Jamie Carragher's comments last night on the analysis from the weekend's game. He said that Spurs lacked courage, confidence, and ability against Chelsea. I just wanted to get your assessment on that. And do you think you saw enough of those qualities tonight?
Yeah, I didn't see his comments, so not too much to say to that. The pundits are pundits. They need to have, need to say something about the games. I've been a pundit myself sometimes, so I know it's. And put it this way, it's easier to be that than stand down there. I saw good performance today, which I'm happy with. We talk a lot about, how can you say that, bounce back mentality, because in life and football there'll be setbacks. Every team will experience that, and it's how we react to that, to come out after a bad game or a bad spell, and come back into it. That's part of a good team, and I'm very happy with the response the players came with today. I think we controlled the game from minute 1 to the end, more or less. There was, of course, a little bit about the red card. Then Micky decided that should not be a problem, and then we won a very good win in Champions League. And it's never easy. I know Copenhagen, we hadn't had the good start, but I just know they are in general very difficult to play against, and I am pretty sure we will not see them lose 4-0 again in Champions League.
Hi Thomas. So when you brought on Zhao and took off Xavi, was the master plan for Micky to score and then Christian to charge up the pitch and get the assist?
No, that's the beauty of football, of the players take initiative and do a lot of bits on their own. So, yeah, of course, that's fantastic to have players that do that.
I just wondered if you could expand a little bit more on Randall Kolo Muani in particular, what he did in the build-up to Wilson Odobert's goal, and what he's sort of offering this team now. He's probably a little bit more settled in.
Yeah, I think he's just taking steps in the right direction, and he's getting more and more fit. And I will still go as far as I don't think he's fully firing yet, but you can see he's such a handful to play against. You can see the goal is a ball in behind where he's just can't really control the defender, then he's practically goalkeeper. And then he show extremely composure to just take the ball down, and a nice assist for Wilson. And he's almost through 2 or 3 times, or he is through two or three times, and could have scored more. So I think he was a threat. Probably also should score on the header.
Hi, Thomas. Just wanted to know how important it was for the team and yourself to bounce back from Saturday.
I think, of course, it was important. You want your, how can I say, your bad performance to get out of the way straight away. And the quicker you can bounce back, the better. And yeah, I was happy with the response.
And do you think this could be a turning point, this game? 4-0, good attacking play.
Turning point I would say it was a step forward in terms of how we want to play. Of course, assist and goals for some of the offensive players, and also good performances. And I think also the structure was good today.
Is it okay to ask in Danish? Okay.
I've heard it is, yeah.
Calm enough to just work on. And then make a big conclusion in this game. Well, further down on the list, and are not among the big 5, so there will be a difference. Sometimes a smaller difference, sometimes a bigger difference. Have you had a chance to talk with Næstrup? No, that's going to be after. Hopefully he will come in, and hopefully we can have a chat. And hopefully we will agree on football is super cool and sometimes, and not super cool other times.
When he was playing out there tonight, he could have probably had 3 assists in the first half. Would you say that was a much better performance from him? And also, he was unfortunate that it was him who had to come off, and he obviously looked a little bit disappointed. Have you had a quick word with him?
No, yeah, of course. I will say 2 things. One, I think that was a step forward today. I'm very happy for him. I think it was a good assist, and I agree with you. A little bit more sharpness for him and the other players, and he probably had a 1 more assist. So I think he found good pockets, good spaces. Really pleased with that. And of course, I understand his disappointment in the moment. But it's always about the team, of course. And on that stage, it's 2-0. We are still building layers in this team. I think it's obvious that we are progressing forward, but we are not where we want to be. In that situation, you just take no risk and put a more defensive player in, which afterwards, of course, looks to be an absolutely top decision. But you never know.
There you go. That was Thomas Frank there on the back of Spurs beating Copenhagen by 4-0. And some Danish dubbing there for you, which even I didn't expect to come through in that show. But always be prepared at all times when it's live. You quite never know what you've got coming. Back on the show with John and wonderful Darren, Hart, of course, Talking Tottenham. They're dropping on Friday for their latest episode. Luke from Spotlight on Spurs, he's back on Thursday. And TJ Ramini, he's on the daily with those quizzes. So keep checking that out as we take you through the match really now in more detail and talk about, of course, involved in that Micky van der Ven Puskas goal, because it was quite simply sensational. And Thomas Frank, he did make 5 changes. And guys out there, like I say, if you want to get involved in the live chat, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button that allows you to interact with the chat live, to obviously all the viewers and the listeners to this show. Like I said, Thomas Frank making 5 changes to the team for this one. Injuries have played a massive part again in the Danes lineup for this one, because Spurs are currently without, I believe, 11 players unavailable. Injured: Dejan Kulusevski, Ben Davies, Kota Takai, Yves Bissouma, Archie Gray, James Maddison, Dominic Solanke, and now also added to that list is Lucas Bergvall, who will now miss this game, of course, and the next one through concussion protocol after coming off in that early defeat to Chelsea. Alongside them, Mohamed Kudus and Jed Spence both missed Monday's training session, while even so, Spence did make the bench for this one, but Kudus missed out on the squad completely. So we'll have to see if he is in contention for the Manchester United game. It really meant Frank had limited options in terms of a lot of departments, particularly at fullback and in central midfield. He did in the end opt to give João Palhinha a rest, with Pat Matassar playing alongside Rodrigo Bentancur and Xavi Simons. Up front continued Randall Colomwani, who keeps Richarlison out the team for the moment, and Brennan Johnson, Wilson Odobert in the attack. Tottenham's team then lined up Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Adogi, Sarr, Bentancur, Xavi, Johnson, Colomwani, Odobert. And when we say they're quite down to the bare bones on the substitutes bench, Tottenham naming just 10 players out of the permitted 12, with 10 players missing, 2 goalkeepers named on there, and 3 yet to even make a first-team appearance. Yusuf Akramich made his first appearance in a senior matchday squad for this one, with James Roswell and Rio Kirimatin also on the bench. So Tottenham's bench was Kinski, Austin, Danzo, Palhinha, Spence, Scarlett, Richarlison, Kirimatin, Akramich, Roswell. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say a much, you've got to say, depleted bench and not very many options. So it was always going to have to be the Tottenham team on the field that's going to make the difference really on the night. And to be fair, Spurs, as TJ did say, opened up with intent really right from minute 1. We saw Xavi breaking into the box and had a good effort from 25 yards. But I think that was the key, really. Spurs started in the right fashion, and it took us, 19 minutes for Tottenham to break the deadlock. Brennan Johnson, I know Jason's been calling for the fact that a guy that scored 18 goals last season, you've got to find a way of getting this guy into the team somehow with that amount of goals he scored last season. And he did get Spurs off and running. Teams, we'll come over to you, because it was really, again, a move that highlighted Xavi's importance in this one, because it was already created by him. Big man for Johnson, big man for Xavi, a lovely through ball. Johnson kept his composure, round the goalkeeper, and Tottenham's really best finisher in the team does it again. A first Champions League goal for Brennan Johnson, and at that time it was Xavi's first GA for Spurs since back in September. So a big moment in the game, Tej, to kick us off running, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that fast start is the punch in the face, and how we should always start every single game of football, especially when we're at home. But to capitalize on this goal, or to focus on this goal, beautifully weighted pass from Xavi. I'm glad he got that right. Like I said, he didn't get all of them right while he was on the pitch. So I was very pleased for him. And again, you know, you can see it actually perfectly from that picture. So he's under pressure from the central midfielder who's closing him down. And then, of course, he's got to find not only the right weight of pass, he's got to wait for Johnson to make the run at the right time so he stays onside. And then, of course, make sure that he doesn't play it into the path of either of those 2 defenders, or overplay the ball so the goalkeeper can come and collect it. Now, listen, I've spoken so many times about Brennan Johnson on this show. He's such a derided player. He is often taunted and jeered and is the subject of so much ridicule. I've often said I don't really understand much of it. I do understand when people say, you know, if he doesn't score, he doesn't do anything. Like, that's fine. And sometimes as well, he can appear to be one of those players that doesn't track back or do his defensive duties, but I've not seen that in him for a while. Also, he's nobody's fool. You know, this is no shrinking violet. And I have to say that I was with Thomas Frank. I don't think that that was a red card today. I completely understand why it was given. But again, for me, there's no force in that tackle. You know, yes, he's high and he's late, nowhere near the ball and everything, but his foot bounced off the surface of the field, and that's what's made it go quite so high. And so, you know, but he got his red, whatever. But, you know, for me, again, he's a player that does show commitment and dedication to this club. I don't know how many more goals he needs to score. I've also said so many times, it's probably the 5th or the 6th time just in the last couple of months, play him down the middle. Play this guy as a number 9. You know, Kudus is nailed on the right if you want to play Odobert or Tell or whoever. I mean, I have to say, I think Dane Scarlett outperformed both Odobert and Tell today. But that's a separate conversation. I'm sure we'll have that later in the show. Play Johnson down the middle as number 9, because in all honesty, like, for me, a player that I find very, very difficult to support, not only in his performance, but just in his attitude, in this puerile, petulant, sulky. I mean, goodness me, he's like Kevin and Perry, isn't he? I mean, it's just that. Oh God, just this stroppy teenager, you know, coming down from his bedroom at 2:30 in the afternoon, still in his pajamas, you know. And then, of course, perfectly encapsulated by taking the ball off Dane Scarlett, who did exceptionally good work to earn that penalty, really wanted to take it. And wouldn't we have imbued him with such a sense of love and pride for this boy to step up and knock in yet another goal in front of the home fans? He so deserved it. And then this idiot comes along and goes, no, I'm going to take that, and clatters it off the bar. Knobhead. But yeah, Johnson, I was very happy for him, man. And again, that's really hard to do. That takes mental fortitude and composure, getting your angles right. You've got to pace the ball correctly. He did it so well. I was very, very happy for him. People want to hate on this kid, man. We've got players in the squad who are far more deserving of that than Brennan Johnson. I was very happy for him.
Got a feeling that team might not be just pushing Richarlison out the front door, pushing him off a cliff in his race.
Am I alone? I think you'd have a lot of hands.
I think, I mean, Richie.
We can't get rid of him, can we, Rick?
I think that's
we can't get rid of him.
I think that's the problem with Richarlison. I'm not sure if we can get rid of him.
Can't get rid of the guy.
Cracker said it right in the last show he was on here. Crack said, "He's the Brazilian what he is." I mean, Richarlison at times. Then he goes does that overhead kick. You know, he's just such a crazy player. But it goes back to that point with Richie, and I mean, to Xavi for that opening goal. That is what happens when you do play Xavi down the middle. I think, Luke, we were interacting actually before Frank had that interview there, and I think Xavi's, created the most chances out of any player on the night for Spurs, which again is a really good kind of indication that hopefully playing Xavi, like we say there, in that number 10 consistently, is hopefully going to get the best out of him. I think, Dal, you picked up on a point as well that, after that, our reward really, the crazy thing about it was that, we had a beautiful move actually where it's such a shame Colin Mourani rolled his shot wide, because again, that's a lovely move actually starting off with Xavi, where really he could have had 2 assists in the space of 4, 5, 6 minutes, Dal?
Absolutely. And you know what? Just going off the back of what TJ said with Brennan Johnson, you look at a player like Xavi, knowing that Brennan is always going to be on the run, makes your job so much easier when you're a creative player like Xavi, because he knows what Brennan wants. They've trained that. They understand each other. He knows he's on his bike. When we play like Kudus on that side, remember, Kudus wants the ball to feet. He wants to stand the player up, and then you don't know when the cross is coming. So we've got different elements to our Tottenham side. And I feel that in this development stage and in this growth stage of this side, there are, as Luke highlighted earlier, there are going to be different 11s that fit best for different opposition. And right now, when we're playing, like I looked at that starting lineup and I was like, there's a lot of pace here. There's a lot of people that go, I'm willing to run. And with a player like Xavi in the middle, looking up and seeing willing runners, it makes your life so much easier. And it makes being that creative player so much more fun. And I was really happy when Xavi had to go off, how unhappy he looked. I was really happy about that, because that's a man going, I'm enjoying it today. I'm liking it right now. Gaffer, don't do this to me. And it's like, okay, cool. And that's why when Frank was asked, what do you say? Like, he probably didn't have any words, because he looked at him and was like, I know, I get it. I don't want to take you off, but I've got to. And you know what? The first thing I'm going to say to you when we play Man United at the weekend is go, remember where you finished that game? Start there. Start right there. I'm probably going to give you probably majority of that 11 to start. And I'm going to say, go again for me. Go again and give me that, because that's where you start from now. That's not where we don't go lower than this. You start here.
Yes. Nice. Just on Brennan Johnson for a second, Luke, to come over to you. Look, he's a player that does seem to split the fan base, right, and polarise the fan base. The reality is, though, he did score 18 goals last season. And at the moment, we've got Micky van der Ven as our top goal scorer in both the Premier League and I think the Champions League at the moment. Brennan Johnson, whatever people think of him. And again, I've said it so many times with Brennan, the most frustrating thing is that he does really nothing all game, but he does the one thing that's the hardest job in football, and put the ball in the back of the net. He opened the scoring. We'll come on to, I think we all felt the red card was harsh. He is now going to miss the next 3 games in the Champions League after what would have been, a really bright performance up until that point. I mean, what do you make of Brennan's role or future? But it's interesting. Frank said he has started the last 3 out the last 4 or 5 games. So he seems to be kind of making that point there that he's very much still part of his plans. What have you made of maybe Brennan's non-inclusion in a bigger part of Spurs' 10, 12, 13 games under Frank so far?
Yeah, well, he had the right wing position kind of sewn up last year, didn't he? Particularly for his goals. And obviously Mohamed Kudus come in and he's just levels above what we currently have. But I do think that there's a role in it in the squad for Johnson. He brings what not many other wingers bring. I mean, even Kudus does not bring as many goals as Johnson seems to offer you. Johnson is a fantastic finisher. There's no doubt about that. The finish today, If you've played football, you'll understand just how difficult that is to, especially on the right-hand side as well, where naturally as he's shooting, the ball would have some sort of curl going closer to the post. It's a very difficult finish. And he's even if he's lacking confidence, which we've seen from him quite regularly, he still has that confidence in front of goal. But in the last few games, I've seen him do certain bits and pieces that he hasn't necessarily done. So today, when the ball dropped to him and he beat his man he dropped the shoulder and went past him, he didn't do that. I don't even think he done it at all last year. If he keeps doing things like that and builds him up, let's remember what Frank has done with certain players, your Mbeumo's, your Wissers, and even Sharma. There's certain players that he's improved, and if he can just get 5 or 10% out of him, there's not many wingers, if you like, that can do what Johnson does in terms of the goals he scores. So there's definitely an option in the squad for him. I've always said Johnson probably shouldn't be starting for a top team. However, if you're bringing Johnson off the bench, that's an option, right? And that's I think that's the problem, is we've got a lot of players that are probably a good option off the bench, but probably not where you want them to be starting week in, week out.
Yep.
And also, a lot of what we don't consider as fans, people go, he's the best right winger, he should start. He's the best left winger, he should start. But we had Harry Kane for years, right? And we knew that when Harry Kane dropped, you just needed runners, because that created so much more space. So what Darren just mentioned about Johnson is Xavi gets the ball. The defenders go, we know where Johnson's going. Let's drop off. All of a sudden, Xavi's got more place to play. These are all minute details that we as fans won't necessarily consider, but they even play a massive, massive part of your makeup of your team. So these are all, I think that Brennan Johnson, so kudos, for instance, if he plays on that right-hand side, there's an argument to say he condenses the pitch for Xavi, because he comes inside where Xavi's space will be. Kudos is probably not going to run a player, so run a defense, so they're not going to drop off. So therefore, so these are all little bits and pieces, and I think that's the problem that we've got. We've got a lot of good players. I think Spence is the best example, and Udogie. Spence is absolutely incredible with his skill set. The problem is his skill set can negate from what others do, and it also means that your winger has to be wide, because if he's not wide, you have no width. So these are all parts of the details that need to be factored in and partners worked out. So we might see Spence works better at left back with a particular winger than who Udogie would work better with, because Udogie's one that's going to go on the outside. So these are all things that we don't consider as fans. We just say
two things as well about Johnson, Luke. You're absolutely right. And, these are the little things. And again, I'm so pleased you said as well, like, if you've ever played this game, you don't know how hard it is to score that goal. But two other things with Johnson. A, he doesn't get shrugged off the ball. He's a strong lad. He really is. He's a Premier League proven strong guy. And also, he never gets caught offside. Tell me one time that Brennan Johnson ever got caught offside.
You're right. Doesn't ever really, very rarely does get caught offside.
You said, Rick, he's got 18 goals last season and he's never offside. Never. Like, I'm a huge JD fan. Like, one of my Tottenham players in my heart. Like, loved JD. JD was caught offside. So I mean, he's one. I don't know if this is still true, but he was the player who was called offside incorrectly more than any other player, because he was that fast. And the amount of times he was called offside when he wasn't. But it's really important. Again, these are the tiny little things, especially now with VAR. If you're scoring goals and you're staying on side, really helps. Really helps.
Totally agree. Look, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Johnson now, because, like we've said there, he is giving now Frank a bit of a dilemma. He's come in, he's scored. He's, again, Frank really wanted to make that point. He's played 3 of the last 5 games, right? So clearly he still feels there's a role in here for him in this team. And for Brennan, again, like Luke touched upon, he was he was a player that was really in the team for a lot of last year under Ange. So for him, he's probably been a little bit disillusioned by the fact he has been in and out the team this season. He probably can't get his head around it to some degree. But again, I think Frank, as much as he wants, or we hope he wants goals being scored, I think a lot of what Frank looks for is actually contributions in game. I think that's probably where Johnson has missed out in terms of playing regularly, because he just needs to have more from him. And, people might say, well, we've been lacking goals, and you can argue, he should be in the team for that, because we are lacking goals. But clearly, I think Frank wants more than just the goals. He does want players to run game. So look, we'll see, and we'll keep an eye on him. But it was a really, really good first half where, to be fair, it was pretty much the Xavi Simons show, because Xavi had a really, really good half, and Kolo Muani, again, should have had the second goal. But again, it comes back to that point we said earlier. See what happens when you get players in the close proximity of Xavi. And I think this was a really good image that, again, for listeners and audio, we're going to try and share it. Spurs lined up in a 3-2-5. So you could just see in this game, in terms of where Xavi was operating, that kind of 10 role, you could see he was having a lot more of the ball in the game. And that's why, again, it comes back to that point that, he's a player that is very comfortable in operating in tight spaces. He's not a big space player, but this style, you see, he seems to dance in and out of possession with the ball. He ended that first half, like we mentioned, 3 big chances in the first half created, the most by a Tottenham player in a single Champions League game since the 16-17 season, and that was just at half-time. So it was a really, really good performance from Xavi Simons. And again, the best he's looked in the shirt. And like I think Darren said, you want to see that disappointment about coming off, because the kid wanted to carry on playing. So hopefully he can take that good form in, of course, to Manchester United on Saturday. But the good news is, first half drew into a close. We didn't have to wait too long for Spurs to go 2-0 up. We had a decent start to the second half. As to be fair, credit to Kolo Muani. We'll come to you, Dal. Chased down what looked like really to be a lost cause in this moment, because again, there was question marks whether it was onside or offside. We've got that all week now, or we've got that all year with regards to now the rules and VAR and how that comes into play. But it ballooned up in the air, and not for the first time. It was a beautiful, beautiful control from Kolo Muani, who took the ball down superbly before teeing up Wilson Odobert to slot home Spurs' second. I know, again, lovely finish for Wilson, good for his confidence, but obviously, I presume, Dale, a lot will be made of the fact in the headlines of just what a wonderful touch that was from Kolo Muani. Dare I say, Berbatov-esque?
Say it with chest. If you play football, and I want young kids to really think about this point. Dads, mums, aunties, uncles, make sure your youngster watches this. To pull the ball from the sky under the lights, under pressure, in a game like this, that is quality, because he kills that ball and then he has all the time in the world to make his next choice. That first touch allows everything else to work, and Odobert gets the gift. That's what that touch does. If that touch isn't perfect, he's closed down, angle changes, goal missed, and then the pressure's on him even more. And it shows the level of player we have there. He has so much about him. And I hope that the dead leg has now disappeared forever. I hope that the confidence now grows within him, and we start to see the player that we've been after. Because remember, we've chased him for a while. He's not a new name for our Spurs fans.
You're right. We were meant to get him to the tail in the first place. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So now we have him. Let's hopefully use him. Also, I'm gonna just do one negative, just a little one.
Go on.
We didn't start the first half very well, though. We came out and we were very sloppy with possession. And this is something that I hope that Spurs are starting to really evaluate when they watch back the game. A game that we were very comfortable in. We were every now and then creating our own problem, creating a mess just to put ourselves on edge, which we don't need to do against better quality. Let me not disrespect Copenhagen. This weren't the Carabao Cup first round. This weren't FA Cup first round. This is Champions League. This is the Champions League. So as much as people go, oh, it was only them, we can only play who's in the Champions League. And we beat them, and they deserve to be there because they've won whatever they needed to do to be there. So it's not a low level. We just played at a higher intensity level that Spurs are capable of. And if we did this against Monaco, we'd have turned them over too. If we did this against Bodo Glimt, we'd have turned them over too. And that's what I'm more excited about, is that when we click like this, we look good, and this is the potential this team has. And I'm glad that we saw that today, and I'm glad that that touch needs to be highlighted. As much as the goal, to be fair, that touch is something to be looked at.
Yeah. I just hope, again, he takes confidence from it, right, Tej? because, he's not had the most easiest start to his Spurs career so far. And I suppose, hopefully, we hope that's going to act as big as a goal for him, because it was a lovely moment and a critical moment, right, to go 2-0 up, a big moment in the game.
And again, look, to Darren's point, if you get that wrong, you look like a bit of a...
Yeah, you look like
a bit of a numpty, don't you? Especially when you're right under it like that, you do have to do that whole kind of cushion it with your laces, like cushion it with the top of your foot. It's not like using your instep, which is easier. When the ball is coming at you horizontally, you have options. You know, you can use your instep, which is significantly easier to do than controlling the ball, which is going to be swirling around and coming down from a great distance. If you get that wrong, it goes off the side of your foot, and it either goes off for a goal kick or it comes off the other side of your foot and probably ends up at the feet of the left back there. So, you know, that takes some cojones and some technical ability, and also, you know, he's charged that down and everything. This is what we want to see. You know, I've been on this show so many times with so many learned gentlemen, and we've talked, I think, you know, fairly, and we've appraised performances where if we see maximum effort, no matter what the result is on the board, we never chastise our players. Again, I feel so fortunate to be part of a program that's really positive in its approach, pragmatic, but positive. So it's only right that we give plaudits, right? If we're going to sit here and criticize, we also have to condone. You can't just condemn. And so the fact that this kid has, you know, raced to chase that down and done it, you know, the commentator here was talking about it being a goalkeeping error, and I don't think it was. I just think that he was shocked by the pace and the determination of Kolo. So good for him, man. We were all wishing that he got himself a goal tonight on our chat. You know, we were all talking about it. I know Anthony Costa was like dying for him to score. So was I. So was Talia, bless her heart. So didn't happen for him tonight. But again, to Darren's point, you know, let's say to the lad, listen, man, pick up where you left off. This weekend, pick up where you left off. You were fantastic. We're all behind you now, bro. Like, you know, we really want this to happen for you, mate. And so let's really give him all the loving, positive energy that we possibly can, and hope that he can carry that momentum into the game against the Manx on the weekend. Fair play to the lad.
Agree. Luke, just on that point with regards to Mawani, it's again a bit of a mixed night for him because, you know, he's made that second goal superbly right by the wonderful touch that he's shown, but he's also missed a couple of big chances. How will he reflect on it, Luke? Will he come out of the game feeling confident by the fact he's made an impact, or will he be frustrated by, unfortunately, those couple of big misses, which on another day you probably would bag him to take because he had a really good record last season? I think, forgiving Juventus, you know, he probably would have put them away. You know, would he get confidence from that, or will he be a bit upset that he hasn't put those goals away?
A bit of both, I would hope. I would hope that he takes confidence from that. I mean, the guys have already mentioned it. That touch is absolutely superb. And actually, when you look at it's one of them hindsight things, but when you look back, if we don't get that second goal, he has a dodgy touch. He's your main forward. The confidence affects him a little bit. So there's so many. It is a defining factor in the game. But it doesn't matter for me. I mean, nowhere near this sort of level. But when I played and I was a forward, if you score one goal and you miss one, you're still annoyed. If I scored 6 and missed 1, I'm still annoyed. And I would expect that from any player. So even if he walked away with 2 or 3, he should still be annoyed that he's missed a couple. But I think his all-round game is definitely a level above what we've seen. To go on, and I don't like carrying on going over negatives, especially when we've just had a performance like that. But it just makes me laugh. Typical Spurs that if you'd have told me 15 years ago we're going to get Brazil's number 9, I'd have been rubbing my hands, and then we go and get Brazil's number 9 when it's for Richarlison, right? But he done things today that I've not seen.
Someone do a very check. I'm not sure it's definitely Brazil number
9. And this is it. But if we want players to come in and make an impact. He's been getting up to speed, Mawani. But some of his play today was very, very good. There's been occasions where I've looked at the ball's gone up to Richarlison and I've thought I'm a bit 50-50. He should hold it better. We should probably get players closer. And then you watch Mawani, and actually he didn't need players closer because he could bring it down. He was good enough. He was physical enough. And also there was a couple of occasions where he's got a bit of acceleration where he just darted through. And I was like, oh, hang on. I wasn't expecting him to be able to shift that quick. So I think that he's a good alternative. I think that Solanke getting back as well. This is what we need. Like, we need players to come in. Players are not going to be superb for 12 months. It's not going to happen. There's going to be players that come in and they're going to have to come off the bench. And this is what I was saying. I think we've got a lot of players that can make an impact, but maybe not from the start. But they're really, really good options off the bench. So go back to Johnson. I think if you've got Kudos and then you've got Johnson coming off the bench, I think that's a brilliant option. So I think that Mwani's done a real good job. I think eventually, once he gets a goal, I think he'll go on a little bit of a run. But let's not forget, he's not played a lot of football. He's not been involved in a proper pre-season. I don't think he's not been around Spurs for that long. So from what I've seen, I really like, and I'm hoping that he'll be able to kind of go up. And I think his record at Juventus was 1 in 2. If he gets 1 in 2 at Spurs, he scores 10 in the next 20. That's a decent ratio, right? So I like what I see from him, but definitely expect him again to be almost like a kickstart. And kind of this is the base now. Let's kick on.
Yeah, I know everyone's eagerly awaiting for us to come to Micky's goal. I promise we're going to come to it in literally a few minutes. We are. I promise you we are. Just going to very quickly touch upon as a quick round the table on the Brennan Johnson red card, because it does seem to have split a lot of people in terms of the decision itself. So just to be clear, what obviously took place was there's a VAR check for Johnson's tackle on Marcos Lopez. The referee, Eric Lambretz, was sent to the screen, and then consequently after the referee reviewing the video evidence, he decided to send Brennan Johnson off. UEFA on Johnson's tackle, they stated, using his studs, player made a strong, unfair contact with the opponent's left ankle, which clearly endangered the safety of his opponent. Now, I suppose what you got to ask yourself is, irrespective of whether people think it's a red or not, some may argue it was a silly tackle to even attempt to make, because he wasn't really maybe going to get to the ball. But again, you look at it also on the balance of play, it does feel like a very harsh decision. And to be fair, I think when you slow it down and you watch stills of it, I mean, naturally, it looks a lot more worse rather than what it would be in real time. A quick round the table on this, guys. We'll stick with you, Luke, for a second. Luke, was it a red card in your opinion?
I can see why it was given. I think it's harsh for that to be reviewed. I think if it was on field given, I could kind of get it, but I don't think that that's the sort of decision that it should be changed from a yellow card to a red personally. But I can see why it was given, and you're right. There's no need to make it. It's almost like he's trying to trip him up. There's no need to get the studs involved, because the ball, you can see in the shot there, it's so gone. The ball's so far gone. It's just not needed. And thankfully, again, we talk about sliding doors moment. Thankfully, it didn't cost us, because if it did, and TJ's already mentioned some of the backlash that Johnson received, if this game ends 2-2, he comes under a hell of a lot of criticism again. So just don't put yourself in that position.
Dale, quickly for you on that point, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I feel that in Champions League, in Europe, those kind of tackles, and they're always going to end in this, because like you say, you look at that still right there, and you got to send him off for that. That's how it works in Europe. I don't think you'll get a lot of these in the Premier League, if I'm honest. I feel like VAR works a little bit differently, and I think the margins are a little bit different. But I think in Europe, you make a tackle like that, it's going to result in it being reviewed in a red card. But I feel it's going to be across the board for everybody. And Johnson had to get it today, unfortunately.
T, you agree? What's your thoughts on that one very quickly?
I agree entirely with Luke's appraisal that it's not a red card because he's bounced off the surface of the pitch. It looks so much worse in a still.
It does.
Luke said it perfectly.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, obviously that resulted then, of course, in Spurs, who looked like they were going to take a more defensive approach, because they brought Polina on to replace Xavi, who was understandably unhappy. But Xavi has been talking to the press, so we are going to go for our final break of the show and quickly hear from Xavi on the back of that performance, and of course, the fact that he would love to have carried on with his performance against Copenhagen. Let's quickly hear from Xavi Simons.
Xavi, player of the match tonight. Congratulations. Did you enjoy it out there?
Yeah, we have enjoyed this game together with the fans, and the most important thing is 3 points.
Tell me about your performance tonight. It felt like you were at the heart of everything we were doing creatively. Anything different for you in terms of the way that you approached the game, or was it just one of those nights where it felt really good?
Yeah, at the end, like what I said before, everyone wants to perform and wants to play good, but this is life. You have to keep working hard, and every day is a new day, new challenge, and new opportunity to perform well.
We were looking at the team before the game, Xavi, and we were looking at it on paper, and we thought Xavi's in there at number 10, players wide, players supporting him. It just looks made for him tonight, and you went out and delivered.
Yeah, what I said before, I'm a guy that I need to enjoy playing football, and that's that's what I do the most. And tonight, you could see together with the team was special.
What was the feeling? I mean, it was Brennan took his goal so well from your pass, but what was the feeling when Wilson scored the second goal here? Because that put us 2-0 up. It just felt we needed that second goal.
Yeah, I think it was a relief because in the first half, I think we could finish you could kill the game a little bit with Kolo, these 2 actions, but at the end, yeah, this is football, and luckily Wilson scored the second one, and then was the relief for everyone.
Javi, I think it's the first time that we've had you down at Pitchhead after a game, so I'm really intrigued to know, how have you found it here? Have you enjoyed it so far?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, obviously. Together with the team, we want to perform always, but things went a little bit different. But what I said before, I think we are every day on the club working hard to try to do our best and to bring the best performance together.
And tell me what you've made in terms of the Premier League here as well, just in terms of the way that you've fitted in. You can see how hard you're working and you can see how much you're putting in. You're getting into all of the right positions. Just what have you made in terms of the level? Has it lived up to what you expected?
Yeah, with no disrespect to other leagues, obviously Premier League is Premier League, but the leagues I've played, the teammates I've played with are high quality. And what I said, I played as well with the national team, international way, and I know what you have to do in this level to bring this. And obviously you want to perform always, but in life, not everything goes how you want always. So yeah, this a little bit, but I will always keep working hard and try to give my 100% and help the team. Yeah.
Just finally, Javi, we've seen one of the goals of the season tonight from your international teammate, your teammate here at Tottenham Hotspur. Just tell me what it was like experiencing that as a teammate, watching Micky van der Ven run through, 80, 90 yards?
Now, I'm honest with you, in the dressing room I told him I would kill you if I was, I don't know who was the right one, but if he would miss this one, I would kill him definitely. But yeah, obviously, everyone knows how fast this guy is. He doesn't look that fast, but on a pitch, when you're next to him, it's just crazy. And happy for him that he had this goal and the 3 points.
There you go. That was Javi Simmons there, who takes us in very nicely to the goal of Micky van der Ven, where we won't keep you much longer on this point because it was an absolutely incredible goal from Micky, where, I mean, he just quite frankly, as soon as he got the ball, he just kept going and going and going. He actually turned into Superman. I mean, it was a run from his own penalty box before he slammed home for what is already Micky's 6th goal of the season. He leads the way as our top goal scorer. And for those that didn't see it, we implore you to go back and watch the highlights. That I think Vicario was one of those happiest people in the stadium because he went and jumped on the guys in the celebration too. It was a lovely, lovely moment. And again, it will take a lot to beat that. I mean, it was, again, Sonny-esque, if everyone remembers that, a goal, the Puskas goal against Burnley all those years ago, and the South Stand urging to sing in the Micky van der Ven song. It was quite simply sensational. Dal, was it just one of those goals that as soon as he got the ball and drove, you just thought, this is going somewhere? Because there was nobody that was ever really going to stop him. I mean, just absolutely powered his way through the Copenhagen team, didn't he, for this one, Dal?
He's a unique specimen. He's a unique specimen. And once he hit top speed, there was no human alive that was going to keep up with him. And what impressed me more than the speed was the composure in that finish. Like, he took that really well. There was a pass there, as you see in that still. There's a pass there to take the pressure off you. I'm a centre back. I've done all that running. I'm going to just square it. But he believed in himself, and a great finish. I'm not going to talk too much because I want Tej to have all the flowers on it.
My apologies. I know you do. All right, Tej, we come to you. I know, like I say, you absolutely love that. I mean, you could argue, was it 3? Was it 4 that he passed? He cups his ear, slides to the surf. The stadium went wild. I mean, that's what we're in the game for, right? We have so many goals that are disrupted by VAR decisions. Is it nice to have a goal that really, the beauty of it, didn't even need to be in any way checked or have verified or whatever, because it was simply something of beauty, wasn't it, Tej? Unbelievable
Yeah,
goal.
it was sublime, wasn't it? Absolutely sublime. A mesmeric run. It's one of those movie moments, in real life that that plays out. And even if you were to feature it in a film, you'd probably have some executives saying, it looks a bit unrealistic. Should we start him later up the pitch or something like that? I mean, listen, Darren put it perfectly. He is a unique specimen. Hyperbole be damned. He really is. Before I get on to, heaping yet more praise on this young man's shoulders, there's no way on earth that Madrid won't be sniffing for this kid. I mean, Liverpool are already talking about sniffing for this boy. So we're extremely fortunate to have him. He keeps getting better and better every season. I started the show by talking about Simmons and asking the chaps and the lovely viewers and the listeners, where they think that his ceiling might be. Yeah. Well, this boy, goodness me,
incredible.
He's a centre back. What are we talking about here? And so when we talk about other Dutch centre backs, and of course, Virgil van Dijk has received his plaudits over the years, justifiably, an exceptionally gifted player, a great leader for his club. To use an expression that the young people use, Mickey's clear.
He's clear. I mean, on that point,
I think before I pass on the gauntlet to the next person, who, as Darren said, fill it with flowers. The fact that he had it in his mind that said, "This is what I'm going to do."
Yeah.
The decision has to be there. And of course, if you're going to go and do that, I said before about the Kolo Muali sort of caressing the ball out of the air. If you get that wrong, you can look like a prize pillock. Well, if you're a centre back and you've won the ball on the edge of your 18-yard box, what is it that possesses you to think, I think I could dribble it past 6 players here, and then Gareth Bale-esque
finish
this ball? I mean, that finish, again, to Darren's point, he's absolutely hammered that in. Goalkeeper absolutely stranded. Bless. I mean, the goalkeeper looks like a corpse lying there in the 6-yard box. You're going to have that chap come out with the tape, put the white tape around him. What a player, man. What a thing to see. And again, it's one of those moments where you watch your team and you think, what a privilege it is to support this team. Fair play to him. Puskas all day long. Luke, over to you, mate. Yet more flowers. Over to you.
I suppose Luke gets probably a difficult question, Luke, because it was just what really Spurs needed really to make it 3-0, because you've got to bear in mind, like we said earlier, I mean, Johnson's just been sent off. The game could go in a very much different direction. But the great thing was, Luke, the fact that how we reacted to the goal, right? Because many would argue now, with Polina coming on, we're going to sit back. If anything, just so everyone's aware, Polina actually won the ball back in that move. It feels weird saying that because everyone just thinks of Micky starting the move and finishing it, but someone's got to win the ball. And it was Polina that came on to start us off. But again, the reaction from the team was superb. And I think Copenhagen, after the red card, I mean, they absolutely fell apart. They completely fell apart as a team. So I suppose, Luke, the question is now, I mean, is there now pressure on the club, on the Lewis family that keep saying they want more wins, they want more nights like Bilbao? Well, at the moment, we're not in a transfer window, but what you can do is you can go and tie down, like TJ said, one of the hottest properties right now in world football, Micky van der Ven, and show your ambition for this club and lock this guy down even further. Is that one of the things they can do at the moment to show us their real ambition at the football club?
Yeah, 100%. I said it about Romero signing a new contract. There's so many different ways about showing ambition, and tying down your top players to contracts is exactly that, because it's all great about talking about new signings and everything. And let's just be clear here. When we signed him, the fans were in uproar saying that Tapsoba was the one we should be getting. That's why sometimes there is a little bit going on in football clubs that we're not privy to, or we don't have a full understanding of this. Now, if we would have signed Tapsoba, everyone possibly would have been sitting there going, why did we not go and get that Van der Ven? Look at him. But he was the cheap option and everything else. So it reminded me really of that the run against Man United, I think it was, last year, when he just won the ball on the halfway line and just burst through players. I've never seen a Van Dijk a little bit, but players almost shrivel up a little bit against Van Dijk. But when the ball's played over, you can see from the back of players' heads their confidence just go. It's incredible, like, to see when the ball's played over the top and they kind of run and then they look and they just go, what is the point? He just has that aura about him already. And I was worried about how he's able to play in a low block, and if he's got young, like small players kind of he's been superb in every single aspect. It's been absolutely brilliant. So it's brilliant to see. And I'm so glad you mentioned about the finish, because it's a goal that, ironically, the actual finish won't be talked about enough. If that was a finish from a striker, everyone would be going, what a top strike that is. That's from a centre half who's just run the length of the pitch to then absolutely incredible. And there isn't, and the commentator said it on the get, there's not many centre backs in world football that can do that. I would argue there isn't any, but there's certainly not many that have the pace, the composure, and then almost the audacity to go, I ain't passing this. I'm not passing this. This is all on me. As a centre back, if you clip that infield, you've done your job, whether they miss or whatever. You've absolutely done it. And he's gone, nah, I'm all right. I'm just taking it on. It's brilliant to see that. And then 2 minutes later, you've got Romero doing the same thing up the other side. It's just, I mean, maybe something. Maybe throwing centre backs up front is the new thing. So it was an absolutely superb goal and very reminiscent of Heung-Min Son.
It's amazing. There's a lot of people that are obviously coming back from the game that are now putting the show on there, and they're listening and watching it back, and they're hearing us talk about it. It is one of those goals as a fan that if you're there, you will say, because I was there for the Son goal against Burnley, you say, oh, I was there for that. It was one of those goals that you will remember being in the stadium for, because it was one of the great goals. And Simon here says it in the chat, regular viewing. Thanks, Simon. It was one of the greatest individual goals by a centre-back in Champions League history. It was really, really that good. And I think it's going to take some beating. It was that good. I know we're pushed for time. Go on, Luke. What was you going to say?
No, I think this is something that, as a fan base, we seem to like diminish our own achievements quite regularly, like players and things like that. This was a Champions League night. So when they go through goals in 5-10 years' time about the greatest goals in Champions League, this will be on there. They won't be sitting there going, oh, it was only against Copenhagen. They will be showing a goal that Van der Ven scored. And sometimes, as I say, I think as a fan base, we need to stop diminishing some of our achievements. We've done it last year in the Europa League run. Can only beat what's put in front of you. And 2 or 3 years down the line, no one cares who you beat or what game it was against. They just remember goals like that. Like, for instance, Son's goal. No one goes, oh, it's only against Burnley, though. Don't really count. They go, what a goal that was. So, yeah, brilliant for him. Loved it.
Yeah. I know we're very pushed for time. I think we've got to hear from Micky very quickly on the goal, because it was an amazing, amazing moment, which Micky, of course, loved. Supporters loved it. Let's quickly hear from Micky van der Ven, who just talks about that goal, how special it was for him, and how important it was for Spurs on a night where they had a man sent off but responded superbly. And we'll be looking ahead very quickly to Man United to come. And I think we've done the Richarlison chat. We might have to briefly talk about the Richarlison clatter in the bar. Let's quickly hear from Micky van der Ven.
We're joined by Micky van der Ven, who's probably just scored goal of the season, maybe one of the greatest ever Tottenham Champions League goals we've seen here at the stadium. Micky, let's just start with your goal tonight. Tell us how you saw it.
Yeah, I saw it back in the dressing room, to be honest. I get the ball in the own box, and every time I saw a little gap of space in front of me, and I start dribbling, I was like, hey, every time I can get a bit more. And I know when I get my speed and the acceleration, it's difficult to catch up sometimes. And then at one way I was like, hey, I'm through. And I was like, I'm going all the way now and just try to score. And yeah, I did.
Look, this is a very obvious question. Is that the best goal you've ever scored in your life?
Yeah, by far.
And even as a youngster, I mean, you must have had moments like that, because obviously you're so quick where you've run through. But to get to that position where the pitch opens up in front of you and you start to think, okay, I can go for this now. What does that feel like when you're running towards that south stand?
I need to score.
Done all the hard work.
When I came through, to be honest, in my head I was like, I know my strike is quite good. So my left inside foot is quite strong. Well, yeah, at this point, you just in your head, you're like, I need to score this one, man.
I was amazed at the celebration as well. You sprinted off into the corner. Yeah, that adrenaline just must be
just, I kept going. And then the guys there, I saw Kev standing there celebrating. So that was nice to see.
Now, you would have seen Sonny's goal, right? I'm surprised he hasn't messaged you already tonight. I bet he probably has, hasn't he? But I remember speaking to Sonny after he scored that, and it's exactly the same for you. You've run 80 yards, 90 yards, you're in front of goal, and all of a sudden it dawns on you, I have to score now, because you were so precise with your finish. And it's exactly the same how Sonny was. He almost slowed himself up to make sure he got that connection and finish. There's no point running 90 yards and missing, is there?
No,
You've
exactly.
got to score at the end of it.
that was the thing at the last point when you arrived at the box, you're just like, nah, I need to finish this one. And I don't know what another teammate was next to me. I don't know who it was, and I know their centre back was in the middle. And of course, at one point he needs to make a decision. And I was like, nah, I keep going all the way now and just try to shoot a short corner. And to be honest, I haven't seen it go in. I just heard everyone celebrating, so I knew
it's a real crisp, good finish. Anyway, look, we needed that tonight, didn't we? I mean, that was good. That was good. That's just what we all needed, wasn't it?
Yeah, a really important one. We had a tough one at the weekend, of course, the derby against Chelsea that we lost. Bad performance from our side, and we knew it. We all knew it. Everybody was gutted after the Chelsea game and the next two games as well. Of course, we need to switch on because we need to play Copenhagen at home, but we were gutted. I can tell you now, the atmosphere was not really good. But yeah, we bounced back in a perfect way, I would say. We had a really good performance today, even when Brennan got sent off. It's really difficult at that point when you're like, okay, 10 men, I think it was 30 minutes ago or something, so that's quite a long time and can get you some trouble, but I think we stay ahead. Yeah, our head was still cool after that point, and I think we did really well.
What happened there? I mean, it was so interesting that the game got quite open, but it also felt that we found a level of physicality and intensity in that period as well. What happened on the pitch?
Yeah, we know we can't really press anymore because you're with 10, so it's really difficult to step through because every time, of course, there's one man, 3 of them. But every time when the ball was like a 50-50, you saw we were on it. So it looks like we were really hungry even at that point when we get with 10 men, really switched on. And every time we came out, and I think we had some great attacks even when we played with 10 men.
Just finally, Micky, I'm intrigued to know as well, once that goal went in, did you feel, I mean, it was very much the case for us watching on, but it felt like the stadium, there was kind of like a bit of a, like everyone could enjoy it. Everyone was starting to absolutely love it. The atmosphere lifted in the ground. Did you feel it on the pitch as well?
Yeah, because even for us, because 2-0 and you play against 11 men with 10 men, imagine if they score, like in a crazy scenario they score, it's 2-1. And then you know you're going to drop back, and it's only one goal to get the equalizer for them. So that point when you're like 3-0, you're just like, oh, because even if they score, we don't allow them to score, of course, because we want to keep the clean sheet. But even imagine they score, then you still have a gap of 2 goals. So everybody's like, oh, it's like, okay, we did it. Not we did a job now, but we made a massive step to put the game to bed.
That was Micky van der Ven there. Great interview for Micky. And I think, again, what really screamed out about that is you could see how important it was to get the 3rd goal. And he made that point that had they not got the 3rd goal, team would have dropped back. And so it's a very different game. But the great thing about the 3rd goal was it relaxed us all, right? It gave us confidence. And the most bizarre thing where you think of sending off, normally I said it in the mid part of the show, it made the opposite effect of the team. It really spurred us on, to pardon the pun. So listen, we're going to close out saying the final parts here. We've got Man United to come, of course, on Saturday. Another big game for Tottenham in what, again, has been a crazy cosmic schedule. Thank you to the over 6,500, nearly 7,000 that have been joining us on this very, very late edition of Last Word on Spurs on what's called the graveyard shift. The Heartman's here. T talking Tottenham. They're dropping on Friday. They are. Get ready for that next episode. Also back on. He's telling us he's back on now where they've had a good 6-7 week break. Luke's back from Spotlight on Spurs. That's why he's looking so refreshed. CJ Ramini, you're quizzing your life there daily. Go over to TJ's Instagram for more of those quizzes. And again, thanks so much as always for the support out there. Listen, I can safely say this now. I think Tottenham, we're in the top 7 of the Champions League group. It could change, of course, in the next set of fixtures that are coming up, of course, in the next few days. But a reminder, I think I'm safe to say this now, that with hopefully Spurs going to be ending up at least a minimum, hopefully, of a playoff place. NordVPN is back in your lives for those that do want to, if you're going around the world in the next kind of, again, 6 to 12 months and want to still watch your favourite programs back home, you can do using Nord's, of course, discount on there. They give you an extra 4 months for free on a 2-year plan. Hit them up, nordvpn.com/LWOS. Of course, all the details are also in our episode description box. You can hit that QR code for those that are watching this show exclusively on YouTube. Guys, I'm not going to take too much of your time after that because it was a wonderful goal. It took a lot of our energy out of us, I think, that 3rd goal. But we weren't finished there. We had a 4th as well. And to be fair, João Palhinha, let's go to you, Dal, because you made some interesting words earlier about Jamie Carragher, who said Palhinha hasn't got the quality for this league, which when you hear that, you just keep thinking, you know, in what right mind have you watched Spurs or haven't watched Spurs, it seems to come to that conclusion. But again, you know, this time around, it's Cuti Romero that follows Micky van der Ven in terms of running quite a distance of the pitch. Wilson Odobert once again on the move for Spurs. Romero's shot saved by the goalkeeper, but with the presence of mind to check back and square, there was Polina to tap in for Spurs. A lovely, lovely finish. And it just felt like at that moment, Dal, the shackles were off, right? It was Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, everyone calm, everyone enjoying, goals going in. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
It was pop the champagne moment. Celebrate, be happy, comfortable, job done. And I'm saying it again, Spurs fans, do me a favor. Clip this up all you want. Put it wherever you want. Jamie Carragher, you owe us an apology. You owe us an apology. You have disrespected a player and you need to humble yourself quickly and say sorry ASAP. Because today we saw, again, the reason why this gentleman here is absolutely Premier League quality, an absolute dynamite signing for us, a player that we've needed. And in that moment when, as we said, we're down to 10 men, we need calm heads, we need to keep it organized. You had our captain Romero busting a gut to get up there, to join the play. Then you've got a player who is not fit to play in the Premier League, went to Bayern Munich and they realized he wasn't good enough, coming up with a goal in the Champions League for Tottenham Hotspur. Paulinho, take a bow, sir. You take a bow. Jamie Carragher, you take a break and owe me an apology. Owe all the Spurs fans an apology. How rude.
It was a great finish. It was. And it was an important moment, really, again, for Spurs, you know, to have that feeling of scoring 4 at home without reply. A really important moment. Spurs have made a whole host of changes. Richie, Spence and Danza replaced Kolo Muani, Udogie and Romero. I just will read one thing out on Destiny Udogie very, very quickly, because this actually came to us during the show. For those who are unaware, Destiny Udogie was involved in quite a serious incident during the week, which will just bring to your attention out there. I'm not sure if anyone has actually seen it, but just to bring the latest news, there was a statement that was actually dropped by Spurs just after the game, which was around the fact of Destiny Udogie being threatened with a gun on the streets of North London by a sports agent. The agent was questioned on charges of extortion and driving without a license, as well as a crime related to the possession of firearms. He was released after paying for bail. But Spurs commented on this incident and said, "We've been providing support for Destiny's family since the incident and will continue to do so. Given this is a legal matter, we cannot comment any further. Of course, our wishes, our thoughts with Destiny and his family, a tragic thing to have to go through. And yeah, just no part of it in life, really. So we wish Destiny all the very, very best. And maybe takes a little bit of a gloss of what's been a really cracking night for Spurs with that news coming out. And again, the fact, you know, you've got the stadium up there in arms, everyone's celebrating. I feel like Tej has done the Richarlison battering for us, really, in that earlier part of the show.
I have one more pearl on Brazil's number 9, who looks more like Basildon's number 9.
I think that's an insult to Basildon's number 9, isn't it?
I think we've tried to offload him to Basildon and they've turned us down twice. But so during the game, and again, as the viewers and the listeners know, we are all on a group chat. You know, we have a group WhatsApp chat. And talking about, so Jason McGovern talked about Muani's touch out of the sky. Anthony Costa responded with this. Richie would have fallen over twice, done a cartwheel like Bodie and Doyle in The Professionals, and still missed it. So that's what he said. Now, another quote that I want to read out this afternoon, and this is from our adorable Mr. Richard Cracknell. When we went down to 10 players and yet carried on playing like a team possessed, Mr. Richard Cracknell said, and I quote, "Man alive, we're playing like 11 blokes off a 6-month tour away in a Navy submarine pulling into Bangkok Harbour."
What a crazy second half. I mean, no one actually could quite understand what had happened. There was that kind of 4 or 5 minute period where literally it was pretty crazy. I mean, it was great to see that from the
look
team.
like 11 blokes who'd been at sea for 6 months pulling up in Bangkok Harbour.
I think, you know what, you said it earlier in the show. I think someone said it in the show. It's a real shame for Dane Scarlett because he done really well to get past his man before being tripped in the box. I think it comes back to that point, maybe. I think Dane might be frustrated that he's not had more opportunities when, with all due respect, he looks at the lack of goals that we've scored in this team. What do you think, Luke, in terms of Dane's opportunities now? Are they going to possibly increase, Luke, or do you think he's always been playing that second, third fiddle? Because to be fair, hasn't quite had a look in despite the lack of goals from the forwards today.
Yeah, I can't see him being involved. I mean, you had Moani started, Richarlison come on instead of him initially. Tell's not in the squad, but I have no doubt that he will be an option when we're going into league games and cup games. Solanke's obviously hopefully coming back. That puts you at fifth choice. So I can't see him being in and around it. I can understand why people think he should at least be given some sort of chance.
Yeah.
But it is incredibly difficult. He's had so many loans that haven't worked out. Mawani's just getting up to speed. So I think if he was to be involved, it would have been really at the start of the season, Richarlison, and almost being the backup to him. Now Mawani's starting to get fit. Richarlison, if he's going to play less minutes, you'd expect him to be less injured, I guess.
Yeah.
So I just can't see it, especially with Solanke coming back. Although, as I say, made a good impact today. I thought it was a nice, neat touch. Came inside pretty well. And yeah, I think with the penalty, someone raised a good point on X that Maddison got a penalty and gave it to Richarlison and was kind of like, maybe it's time to kind of give a bit of boost to you.
Yeah.
Maybe returning the favour there to Scarlett to say, youngster, you've come through the youth system, got the Europa League goal last year, obviously, was part of that fantastic win for the academy. What an unbelievable thing for you to go and get less pressure as well. We're already hopefully won the game sort of thing. Didn't hand it across. So yeah, I think unfortunately I don't think Scarlett will be involved too much. But hey, listen, this is Spurs. We could end up getting 3 strikers injured and Scarlett starting 5 or 6 games on the trot, right? Because that's just seems to be what we do. But yeah, I don't think he'll be involved too much unless there's a lot of injuries.
Yeah, it's a shame though, isn't it? Because I mean, it would have been a really nice way to end the night by having one of the guys that's come through the academy to score. But I mean, equally, maybe they thought, Richarlison's not scored in a while, so again, maybe giving him a confidence boost. But I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know what you guys thought. I thought as soon as Richarlison stepped up, I never was confident he was going to put the ball away. He looks so at the moment unconfident. But the reason why I don't know why is because he has started a number of games under Frank. The issue with Richarlison has been previously getting him onto the pitch. We've actually got him onto the pitch now, but he just looks completely out of form. So I can't quite work that one out. So it's going to be interesting.
We don't know what's going on.
He also always looks so entirely disinterested. He almost looks like, we have done some sort of terrible affront by putting him in a Spurs shirt and going, do you want to go and play football for 90 minutes? I can't stand that level of entitlement. Again, I have zero tolerance for ill-behaved children. I cannot stand it. Cannot stand ill-behaved mewling children. For goodness sake, go and sit on the naughty step. Honestly, puerile, petulant little. Honestly,
got a feeling there might be a reprieve for him under sea somehow. Now, what is the future hold quickly for Richarlison? Has he got a future at Tottenham? By that scathing assessment there, now, what's his future look like?
With Richarlison, right, it's a challenge because Richarlison is his own worst enemy. He's his own problem. We know he has his mental issues that he suffered with last season. And we know he's someone who is in his own head. And when he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's so not. And unfortunately, we don't have the luxury to have a player like that we can go, are you hot today? You're not today, and work through it. We needed Richarlison to be Brazil's number 9 for us right now. We needed that. The season, we needed that person to turn up, and he hasn't. And unfortunately, with the squad we're developing with Koulibaly, with Solanke coming back, with Tell to be involved, even with the lineup we have, he's going to fall further down the pecking order himself, and that's only going to be worse for his confidence. And I feel that we as Spurs fans have got to hope that we don't need to rely on him too heavily going forward, because he's not there right now. But the thing about Richarlison, we write him off now, give it 8 games, 10 games, he's gonna have a worldie, and that's just what he does. And we just got to just accept that moment and know that we'll get 1 more, maybe 2 more this season, but we can't get it 8 games in a row. It's not happening.
And it will still be in a year's time, guy. We've got to sell him.
Oh yeah, it's still there, and he'll go to the World Cup, and he'll have a worldie at the World Cup. It's Tottenham players. We know this, guys. It does it. We know the sitcom. We've been a part of it too long.
I mean, only Spurs can have I think Luke said the Brazil number 9, and we've got this kind of performance and this kind of petulance. But there you go. I mean, what Spurs have done with that, obviously, is they've put themselves in a decent position now in terms of the group itself. And just no, Jamie, I think Darren is being sarcastic. I'm not quite sure he does actually think Richie is going to go on to be a world beater. Just so you know, I think it was more sarcasm than actual general belief. But But I think it's going to be interesting to see now, really, how this group phase does, towards the end conclude, because we've got PSG to come, we know. Again, that's going to be another challenge in itself. I think before the group we started it, there was confidence that we could finish in the top 7. I think that might be quite hard now, given the nature of the teams that are around us. But look, go to PSG and pick something up. You never quite know, but it does feel like we've put ourselves in a decent place, a decent win, and at a time where really it just settles down a bit of noise, right? Because there's been a little bit of noise over the last few weeks about our lack of goals, and we've scored 4 from open play. So that settles everything down a little bit, right?
Yes, and I also think a much-needed boost for Thomas Frank and his coaching staff.
Agreed.
I mean, I do think that one of the reasons why our home form particularly has been so poor is that he acknowledges, I think we're safe to say that he doesn't have the forwards that he had at Brentford. He just doesn't, and so what he doesn't want to do, is start his tenureship at Tottenham, with too many losses. Unfortunately, we've only won 1 game at home this season. And so I think that this is Darren said it right at the top of the show. This is what everybody needed, and that really is an all-encapsulating statement that is wholly accurate. And so I'm very happy for us all this evening. I think that the benefits of tonight can't possibly be overestimated.
No,
this was absolutely pivotal, fundamental, critical, crucial, whichever word you want to use. And so very happy for us all tonight. Let them all go to bed with big smiles on their faces, looking forward to coming into training tomorrow and carry this optimism and momentum, because again, that is so important. The habit of winning, the habit of gaining what that sensation feels like and having a thirst for it, almost an addiction. That's what we need at Tottenham. So very, very happy, delighted for everybody this evening.
Totally agree. Steve, thank you so much. And Spurs' record at home in Europe continues. We've, in the last 22 games, remained unbeaten in Europe. Obviously, it's not the same for the Premier League, but let's hope it's a step in the right direction ahead of Spurs returning back to the Premier League against Manchester United. I want to say a massive thank you, Tej. Thank you ever so much. Keep doing the quizzes. Everyone keep checking them out. Get involved with those quizzes and make sure you answer those questions before TJ does. Luke, thank you so much. We'll see you back at the weekend for the Man United game twice in a week. He has been thrown in like Archie Gray, but it's tough times right now. We've got to get that home form back. So, Luke, hopefully we've put you on the right form of momentum right now, Luke. Right? Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I hope so. I can't believe you just mentioned the home form in Europe and then the home form in the Premier League. This is Spurs, right? We are crackers. We can't win a game at home in the Premier League, but we're unbelievable in Europe. Yeah. Like, it just makes no sense. But yeah, we started the week off with a win, so that means we've got another weekend win coming up as well. So Richarlison for the winner.
Love that. Luke, you've been a superb star. Thank you so much. Dal, thank you so much. Everyone get ready. There's a new episode of Tea Talk Tottenham dropping. Dal, where can they find it? Where can they listen? Where can they watch it?
Well, it's dropping on YouTube Friday. That's the plan. Tea Talk and Tottenham. We are out there. We're active. We're bringing the love, bringing the madness. Yeah, and I was always grateful to be here. Loving life. We needed that team. We needed that family. We needed that Spurs. Thank you. And Mr. Sachs, you are an absolute legend. Host for the most. Keeps this all going. You always skip yourself. I'm sick of it now. Stop doing it. Like, comment, subscribe. Ricky Sachs is an absolute legend. And without him, we're not here. Just remember that. Without him, we are not here.
Bless you. I think there's been times where we wish we weren't in the last couple of weeks, but things have started to settle down now. So let's hope, fingers crossed, we have got a decent run coming up because, like we said, we've got a massive period coming up. We've got an international break squeezed in between, but after that, we go back into a really, really crazy period. So yeah, like I say, a lot of love for all these wonderful gentlemen here. Luke, lots of love for you, I've got to say. Luke, standout guest. Lovely words for Luke, who's becoming hopefully a more regular part of the show. We've got a lot of games, so we've just, like I say, we're finding some really top tier guests to join us. Luke, you've been a star. T, thank you so much. Dal, thank you so much. Luke, thank you so much. Audience, thank you so much. 8,500 of you that have watched us live. Finally, we're seeing, in Thomas Frank words, not ours, free, not flowing, floating football from TJ, from Luke, from Dal. We've been the last one on Spurs. Keep safe, keep well. And as always, as a drum roll, come on you Spurs.